Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome to my Should You Pull series, where we take a look at upcoming banners coming to Dissidia Opera Omnia, and I try to help you make a decision whether it's worth to pull on the banner or not. The banner that we are taking a look today is going to be the Act 2 Chapter 6 story banner that's coming out tomorrow, at least by the time this video is released. So in this banner you have the opportunity to get Lyse's EX and her 15 and her 35 CP weapon, alongside with Y'shtola's EX, 15 and 35 CP weapon as well. And the third wheel for this banner is going to be Lyse with her 15 and 35 CP weapon as well. Okay, so we're starting this video off with a returning EX, which is Y'shtola's EX. Now this EX has been featured quite a few times already and is also available in the EX weapon token shop. So let's take a look at Imor. Now Imor gives the EX ability called Pulse of Life. This restores all the party members' HP based on the max HP and revives them as well if they are KO'd. It raises the party's Brave based on the max Brave and will grant a medium max Brave up to the party for 8 turns. This also grants herself a Brave regen for 8 turns. So after using Pulse of Life, Stone and Medica 2 each recover 1 use up to the initial values that they have, and turns the HP attack into HP attack plus for 8 turns. This also raises the allies' Brave based on HP damage dealt. This has a very slow recast speed, however, at 1 out of 3 limit break, this will slightly raise the potency of the max Brave up and Brave regen. At 2 out of 3, it slightly raises the recast speed of Pulse of Life, and at 3 out of 3, it will moderately raise the attack and speed of Y'shtola. Now let's take a look at what she gets with her realized weapon if you do decide to EX plus or realize her weapon. Of course, at first it will improve the EX ability Pulse of Life. At 0 out of 3 limit break, when using Pulse of Life, this improves the Brave regen and extends its duration by 1 turn. This also extends the duration of max Brave up by 1 turn and extends the duration of the HP attack plus by 1 turn. And when the quest starts, she will already have her Brave regen for 9 turns and will automatically fill her EX gauge to its max. At 1 out of 3 limit break, it will moderately raise the max Brave and her attack again. At 2 out of 3, it will slightly raise the party's max Brave and moderately raising the party's attack as well. And finally, at 3 out of 3, this will slightly raise the recast speed of Pulse of Life. And when using the Pulse of Life now, it will not have any action delay. It will not increase the turn count. However, it will still decrease the friend support and the summon action count. And after using Pulse of Life, it will turn your HP attack plus and HP attack plus into HP attack plus plus. This will raise the Brave based on her initial Brave before she does an HP attack, and the Brave gain can overflow up to 120% of her max Brave, and this will also prevent KO if the HP is at least 50% of their max HP and leaves the HP value at 1. And the bonus sphere that you are going to be getting here is called Break Hit Brave Gain. When breaking a target or attacking a broken target, it will raise the Brave by 30% of its initial Brave. This can only happen once per turn. Okay, so after telling you guys all these information, what do I think of Y'shtola? Well, You know, the biggest problem with Y'shtola before was the very slow recast speed of her EX weapon. And they kind of fixed it with this EX Plus. It again will raise its recast speed if you do max limit break the EX weapon. And not only this, you can actually use her EX straight away at the start of the fight, just like Ryle's EX. However, I feel like even though it is available at the start, since you really want to use it to its full potential, maybe you can actually just wait for you to use one of each of your skill 1 and skill 2 abilities. That way you can refill it. But however, obviously it all depends on your situation. If you're just farming, you can use this straight away and you can just, you know, kill everyone as fast as you can. So I'm really glad they actually fixed the biggest problem with Y'shtola. She actually doesn't get a rework on the release of this banner as well, or the release of these story quests, which is kind of surprising. Usually they will have some sort of rework, even if it's just the change of her passives, or even adding a little bit of something with skill 1 and skill 2. However, they didn't do this, so Y'shtola sort of stays the same, just with a lot of added perks with her EX Plus, which is really nice overall. I didn't think she needed a overall rework. However, I feel like she could have used some, but that's just me, and in the end I still liked where she landed. Okay, it's finally time to talk about Lyse's EX. She is a new character, so this is a new EX weapon that is debuting in the global version of the game, and it's called Jiki. I hope I pronounced that right. This will give the EX ability called Brotherhood and Forbidden Chakra to Lyse. Now, Brotherhood and the Forbidden Chakra, this is going to raise her own her own brave based on her attack, and will grant the Brotherhood buff for 6 turns. Now this triggers the Forbidden Chakra afterwards. It is going to be a 5-hit AoE melee brave plus HP attack. It moderately raises the brave damage dealt to a single target, and the stolen brave can overflow up to 150% of her max brave, and the HP damage dealt is split amongst all enemies. This also extends the existing buff called Fist of Fire by 1 turn, and while the chakra gauge is at 5, this will turn into their plus variant. This increases the potency and improves the effects of Forbidden Chakra, and consumes the entire chakra gauge after its use. Now the Brotherhood buff has the following effects. It raises her own max brave and her own attack, and also increases the chakra gauge by 1 when an ally uses an ability. This is excluding the additional ability and the enhanced brave plus HP attack, or whatever you want to call it. The chakra gauge also increases by 1 after using an ability. Again, this is excluding the additional ability of Lyse and her enhanced brave / HP attack, and this is capped at 5 charges. This also has a slightly slow recast speed, but at 1 out of 3 limit break, this will slightly raise the brave damage dealt by the Forbidden Chakra and Forbidden Chakra Plus. At 2 out of 3, when the chakra gauge is at 5, it will turn the Brave Attack and Brave Attack Plus into Purification. Now, Purification raises her own brave based on her attack. This doesn't have any action delay and does not increase the turn count as well. This, however, will decrease the friend support and summon action count. This will consume the entire chakra gauge after use and does not consume any ability use on the next turn. So this is actually really nice for her. At 3 out of 3, it will slightly raise the recast speed of Brotherhood and Forbidden Chakra. Now let's take a look at the EX Plus version of Jiki. Of course, this will improve the EX ability called Brotherhood and the Forbidden Chakra. So at 0 out of 3 limit break, when using the Forbidden Chakra or the Plus variant, it will moderately raise the critical brave damage dealt. At 1 out of 3, when using the Forbidden Chakra and its Plus variants, it will tremendously raise the brave potency of these attacks. At 2 out of 3, it will slightly improve the max brave up and the attack up effects of Brotherhood. And when the quest starts, it will also grant the Brotherhood buff for 6 turns. And finally, at 3 out of 3, when using the Forbidden Chakra and Forbidden Chakra Plus, this will moderately raise the max brave overflow limit of Forbidden Chakra. And the bonus sphere that you're gonna get is called Break, Hit, Attack All Along. When breaking a target or attacking a broken target, it will raise the party's attack by 5% for 6 turns. Okay guys, so since Lyse is going to be a brand new character for the global version of the game, I'll give you guys a little bit of information regarding her abilities, and this is with the passives included. She is going to be a melee DPS / support type character, and her first ability will be called Elixir Field, which grants a 5-hit AoE Brave plus HP attack, and the HP attack will be split amongst all targets and will also grant a max brave up and an attack up to the entire party. Now, Riddle of Fire, which is her second ability, will grant the buff called Fist of Fire. Now, Riddle of Fire has a low action delay and will not increase the turn count. However, it will decrease the friend support and summon count as well. Now, this will turn into a fire ability called Fire Tackle, which raises the party's brave based on her attack, and will do a 2-hit melee plus HP attack, and will have a 50% splash damage with all passives included. Now, Fist of Fire will raise her own max brave and her own attack, and will also raise the party's initial brave and will grant a brave regen to the entire party. Now, while Fist of Fire is active, this will turn her Brave attack into Brave Attack Plus, which increases the number of Brave hits to 2 and greatly raises the total Brave potency. And this will also turn her HP attack into HP Attack Plus, which raises her own Brave based on her attacks, and will do a 1-hit melee Brave plus HP attack, and will deal 20% HP damage to non-targets. And I've already explained her EX earlier, so we're not going to be going through that any longer. This time, let's take a look what I think of Lyse as a whole character. So I do think Lyse is actually a pretty good character. However, she is a hybrid type of a character. It's going to be hard to really compare her to anyone else. Now, I do believe the closest thing that I can compare her to DPS wise is going to be Squall. And the reason for this is they both have the splash damage, obviously. Now, with Squall, with his Renzokuken, you do get 100% splash damage. With Lyse, it's going to be 50% splash damage with her Fire Tackle. Now, in terms of HP Attack Plus, Squall's will be a 50% splash damage, whereas Lyse will be 20%. So you get what I mean here, right? And I know it's unfair to compare her to Squall, but he is the closest thing I can compare her to. So what I'm really getting at here is, I don't know whether the support that Lyse brings sort of justifies the DPS loss that you would be getting instead if you brought Squall along instead of Lyse. And my other concern regarding Lyse is the max brave up and attack up that she provides to the entire party are just generic buffs. So these can be topped off with better versions of them, and obviously can be pushed away with debuffs from the bosses. She does, however, have that Fist of Fire buff, which will not be easily removed, and she will give that extra initial brave and party brave regen to the entire party. So I think I am really at an impasse when it comes to Lyse. I really like her, and again, I am sort of biased when it comes to like Final Fantasy XIV stuff, but I just don't know whether it's really good to bring a hybrid along when you can bring like pure DPS or a pure support that are well versed on their jobs, where Lyse is doing things more half-half. So yeah, overall a good character, but I don't think she's like a great character. Okay guys, so it's finally time to talk about how much you should be investing on these EX Plus weapons. Now let's start off with Y'shtola's EX Plus. I do believe going with a minimum at 0 out of 3 limit break is the way to go. You already get your Brave region at the start, you already get the EX gauge filled up at the start at 0 out of 3. Not to mention you get extensions on her buffs as well as improving her Brave region overall. Now if you do decide to invest on Y'shtola, I do believe going 3 out of 3 is probably the best way to go about this. Now with 3 out of 3 you get that no action delay, so she gets her turn straight away, and then you do not increase the turn count as well. Of course with friend support and summon you will have to use those action count, but if you have your own Y'shtola, it doesn't add a turn count, so it's really great. Plus you have more longevity with Y'shtola with her HP attack plus and can overflow up to 120% of her max Brave. And of course the added bonus is this prevents a KO as long as she has 50% of her HP. More survivability is really great in the chaos, and plus she can actually heal herself up to full HP if you do decide to use her EX ability. So I think going 3 out of 3 is actually a pretty good idea if you're going to invest on Y'shtola. Okay, so now let's talk about Lyse's EX Plus. Now I put here minimum of 2 out of 3 limit breaks because this is where she gets her Brotherhood buff. Now some of you might think, well, you know, 0 out of 3 is actually not bad, and I would gladly agree with that. But if you really want Lyse to be optimal when it comes to chaos fights, I do believe 2 out of 3 is where you want her to stay, because this way you will be getting your chakra gauge up because of Brotherhood, and therefore you will be using the plus variants of your forbidden chakra. This just makes it so the ramp up time for Lyse is severely cut and will be extremely quicker than when you have to actually use their EX before you get the Brotherhood buff up. So obviously, since the minimum requirement I put here is 2 out of 3, I guess with the max, like I said, if you already went 2 out of 3, you might as well go 3 out of 3 with the maximum if you went minimum 2 out of 3. So I just put 3 out of 3 here. But again, if you guys prefer 0 out of 3 as your minimum and 2 out of 3 as your max, I have no arguments with that. I feel like it can go both ways. I'm just going with, if you really want to use Lyse as a character in the chaos difficulty, I feel like this will really help her out a lot, and that is just my own opinion. Okay, now let's take a look at why you should be pulling for this banner. The first reason why you should be pulling for this banner is you actually need a very good support character or another melee character so you can finish off the second reason, which is Dimension's End. So basically, I do believe Y'shtola is one of the best support characters that we can ever get, at least at this point in time. Now Lyse, like I said earlier, is sort of in between character, so I do believe if you're pulling for this banner, you're pulling more for Y'shtola. But like I said, Y'shtola's EX weapon is actually available in the EX weapon shop, so I guess the main reason you're going to be pulling for this is if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy XIV. Other than that, there's really no clear reason for why you should be pulling for this banner if not for Lyse, or if you're not a big Final Fantasy XIV fan, sorry. Okay, so now let's take a look at the reasons why you should not be pulling for this banner. And the first one is you're happy with Charlotta. And of course, with Rem as well as your main healer slash support, and you maxed out a few characters already. And like I said earlier, if you can just grab Ishtola's EX from the weapon shop, EX weapon shop, you can gladly skip through this banner. And the next reason is obviously you're again saving your resources for the Emperor that is coming next month. And basically, again, if you're not a big Final Fantasy XIV fan, you probably can just skip through this banner. Okay, so guys, I think I will leave the video right here. Please remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. Each and every subscription is going to help my channel out. And of course, if you leave a like, you're going to help with that YouTube algorithm, so this video can, you know, go to newer players that probably are not sure whether they should pull or not. And in order to help them make a decision, you know, they can watch this video. And of course, make sure to follow me on my social media. I am on Facebook and I am also on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.